Once he gets this all buttoned up here, just got to put a few more trim pieces on, throw the wheel back on here. We are gonna take it for its first drive with the supercharger pulley and all the other performance mods. But yeah, let's just jump right into ripping it around and hearing all the supercharger noises.
A few moments later.
I blew the engine up.
Blew the piston rings and
yeah, I blew the rings out of most of the cylinders. We got oil fuel mixture, white smoke started building out of the back of the car. I know I'm laughing because I can only laugh or I would cry. I totally ruined the engine.
They ask you how you are, you just have to say that you're fine when you're not really fine, but you just can't get into it because they would never understand.
Oh my gosh. Oh guys, if you could smell how bad this smells right now. I can't even transfer this. You can't even tell through the camera, but oh my gosh guys, we got full white smoke coming out of the back of the AMG. And if you could just hear that, that's rod knock. Back out in the sun again. This car has not seen the daylight in over 6 months. So he's gonna limp it to the shop. I'm gonna go back to work, and we will update you guys as soon as the new block is in and bring the car back to the channel in its full glory, running and driving again and not smelling like absolute garbage and running like crap. And he scraped out a driveway. Guys, that's so bad. Jeez. Oh no! Oh no! Ah! What a geezer! He's driving a blown AMG. It looks like a steam engine coming out the back. Mama in the support vehicle going to follow him. Oh gosh, garage. It smells so bad. I gotta get out of here. Ugh. Okay, all right. I'll update you guys when the new block is going in. AMG has returned, and Pops is drinking from the hose. It has been sitting for quite a while, so we're just getting right into it and washing it down here. Oh my gosh, look at the wing. I don't know if you guys can. Woo-wee! It's dirty, got bird shiz on the back. Yeah, we need to get, oh wow.
So let me tell you what we did. After having blown the engine, which we told you about in the last video, we bought a new engine. We found it in Michigan. Newer car from a 2007, 43,000 miles on it. And we tore the engine apart all the way down, replaced timing chain, every seal, every gasket, all the internals. The valves were polished. The bearings and rods, the bearings were changed, the rods were checked, the rings were changed, the pistons were checked and polished, and on these M113K engines, it's all forged internals already, so it's got the guts to handle a lot of horsepower, which we've put to it. changing out the supercharger pulley and the tune and the intake and the exhaust and everything that we've done, which we'll detail in the balance of this video. But it's so good to have it back. It feels so good to just have driven it home, and I grandma'd it home.
Heater all the way on, because we
Yeah,
still need to
'cause-
install cooling mods.
Yeah, I'm trying to keep it as cool as possible, and it's a 96-degree afternoon here in Utah.
So just put it at home, heater on full blast.
Yeah.
So that's what we think might have caused the engine to blow initially. Another thing a lot of people mentioned was the back pressure from having the stock headers. So we went and installed our catless race headers that we have. He'll give you a little bit more details about those in a second. So we won't have any more the back pressure right now. So right now the exhaust is literally just dumping out of the headers. We just have pipes facing down towards the ground. One of the next videos you guys should see, now that this car is back, is having a custom exhaust built, which will be very cool. So stay tuned for that.
We're pretty excited about it.
Don't give many details.
Yeah. Okay.
They can watch the video. We don't like to spoil any content. You're such a weirdo. Such an idiot.
No, he's not.
I literally dropped that video like 2 days ago on his brand new seats, which he's already sold. But yeah, so you guys should see the exhaust video sometime soon, and a lot more content coming now that this car is back. So we need to do the exhaust, we need to do the cooling mods, and then we need to dial in our tunes. We're gonna get basically data logging equipment to be able to get detailed data logs over to our tuner, which is remote. Race IQ.
I think
Texas or I don't know. But we need to get all the parameters, how the car's running with our mods, all the data logs, and send them over to the tuner so it can get tuned properly. Because we don't know exactly what killed the last motor. Could have been the tune, could have been the no cooling mods, and could have been the back pressure, or combination of all three. But we are just going to tackle all those because those are the ones that we think caused it. So we'll dial those in, and this thing should be ripping.
We got it back.
It's back.
It's back in the garage.
So we'll give it a quick, not a quick wash. We're gonna give this a nice detail.
Follow.
All right, guys, we got it all clean. Here's a cold start. Well, not really cold start, hot start with the blast pipes underneath. Woo-wee! Pretty gnarly. Oh, the top. Still works like a dream. Back like it never left.
Putting a chemical chiller in line because the one fault of this engine is that it runs really hot. They loop the intercooler, which these two lines. This is the cold line for the intercooler on the supercharger. This is the hot. So it comes in cold, goes out hot. But it really never gets cold because this is tied into the engine coolant system, so you're running off of 160 degree temperatures, so you're never going to really cool your supercharger. I mean, it's got its own radiator. See, this is it comes down from the hot side to this pump, and then
This is a separate water pump just for the intercooler.
Yeah, and this is a separate heat exchanger for the intercooler.
Okay.
And then there's the radiator behind it. What we're going to do is we're going to separate that system out, but we're going to keep the pump and the heat exchanger in as additional engine cooling pieces.
Right, and then add an additional water pump that you tie into this system to pump the coolant into the killer chiller, and then the killer chiller is cooled by Freon, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So it'll cool this coolant, which will send directly to the supercharger, right?
Yeah, with 30 and 40 degree
Because it's being cooled by
Air
the
intake temps.
the
Yeah,
air
chemical
conditioning.
Freon.
Yeah. So you're gonna install another water pump somewhere over here, and then use this as a coolant expansion tank.
Yeah.
That's gonna run coolant through here and assist with cooling the engine and the supercharger.
Exactly.
With the Freon system.
Yeah. So there's two sides to a killer chiller. You have the actual heat exchanger, which is Freon to water, and your water lines are coming in or out here and in over here, and your Freon are the high pressure side and the low pressure side. So you've got Freon and water passing through there, much like any heat exchanger, air to air, air to water, anything like that. This is Freon to water. And so we've got the killer chiller itself mounted up, and the Freon side plumbed, and then the outgoing, so the cold water that's passed by the Freon already comes here, wraps in front of the radiator, and comes down underneath the headlight and over into the engine bay to the cold side of the, which is the lower, to the cold side of the intercooler on the supercharger. And it's all wrapped with foam insulation and with heat shield. And then we've got, it comes out having been cooled already. So this is more or less the hot side, although it won't be hot, and it'll come over here to our tank. And it's all wrapped in foam and heat shrink.
And that's the hydraulic tank for the suspension that we reworked.
Yeah, when we deleted the ABC system, we used the tank, which had hydraulic fluid in it. It's a half a gallon, it's 2.5 liters. And it goes in here in the top. I'll cap it off, I'll fill it with coolant, and then it comes out of the bottom and down here to an electric pump that I've installed, a Bosch electric pump that comes into the top, and then out here over to the inside of the liquid side of the killer chiller.
And then you'll just wire up that pump and the whole system will run.
Yep, so that's two complete loops. We have the Freon loop complete, and we have the coolant loop that has been separated out. Originally it was linked, it was the coolant, the intercooler coolant and the engine coolant were linked, and that was a really weak part of this engine design, was that you were running engine temps through your intercooler, and what is that, 160 degrees operating temperature? Yeah. So I'm going to be running 30-40 degree Freon.
30 degrees.
That's going to produce 40 degree intake temps. Hopefully, that's what we're shooting for.
And then we won't get the overheating.
Yeah,
that
we won't get heat soak in the engine.
And
as easily.
Yeah, all this stuff looks super badass. Got all the heat shield on everything. So just to keep the temps down as much as possible while the Freon and the coolant are running through the lines and passing through the engine bay.
Yep.
It'll just insulate them as much as possible.
And a lot of people, their one complaint of a chemical chiller, a Freon to water, is that you're going to get parasitic loss off of the compressor on the engine. Yes, minorly, but you're also going to get the additional horsepower from having that cold of intake temps. So, you know, it's a toss-up. And what you do is you just, when you're taking a real deep pull, like on a drag race, you as you're staging, you run your killer chiller that you then turn off right before you make your run. So you don't have any parasitic loss at that point, but you have all of the cold still built into the system.
Running the killer chiller around town, still having a very fun car to drive, but when we do want to set some records with the AMG, we can.
Yeah.
And hopefully we're gonna break some parts out at the track.
Yeah.
Once it's fully ready.
Yeah. Challenger Charger guys don't like to be beat by a German car. We took the original coolant loop, which was part of the engine coolant, and just made a 180 bypass right there, and we took the two pipes that were here and just linked them, and that's what that brass fitting is right there. Nice. And so that's its own system. We actually kept that in place because we want the original heat exchanger to be an additional engine radiator. So we've kept that loop isolated away from the intercooler loop, but originally this was an air purge valve that came over to here.
And now we have this little eyesore that we need to figure out. But, you know, the rest of the engine bay looks baller, so you don't notice it. I like this.
Yeah, me too.
This is sweet.
Yeah.
And then the intake pipes also have this matching. So when you open this up, it looks like a
Space shuttle.
7th grader science project.
Stop. No, it doesn't. It looks like the NASA produced a drag car.
Oh my gosh. Pops just finished up installing the killer chiller. We loaded it up with Freon and coolant. We should see improvements in the temperature itself of the coolant. Do have all of the recommended things installed now. So that includes everything we did previously, the smaller supercharger pulley, the fuel rail, the bigger injectors, the custom intakes. We now have the race headers installed. There are no mufflers, no cats on those headers. If there were originally, they're gone. So just straight, beautiful headers down there. I don't think you'll be able to see them, but we also have the killer chiller now installed, and the headers and the killer chiller were both not installed when we did
Lots
blow
of air.
the engine.
Here's the dedicated
Pump for
water
the killer
pump for
chiller.
the liquid side of the killer chiller.
Coolant.
So it comes from that tank straight down here into the pump, straight over to the killer chiller, and then straight up to the intercooler.
So we mounted it right here in front of the wheel well on a nice stainless steel bracket. Again, all the lines are covered in this heat shield, which is gonna hopefully prevent the temps from rising during a long drive. You see more of the lines here. So it's a big snake of lines, but we were able to fit everything in there. You can see a line behind there, lines coming in underneath here, big mess of lines over here. You can see where they tee into the engine system over here, and yeah, so it's all set up. Okay guys, we got the bumper installed. It's nice and cool out tonight, about 10 o'clock. Get the front end put all back together. Go take it for a little drive. Pops is happy. The car is finally back and working again. What are your thoughts?
It's been a little heartbreaking. It's 8 months.
There you go.
It's been a little heartbreaking. 8 months without the toy.
Yeah,
So
we're happy to have it back. It's in no way, shape, or form fully back up and running.
is anybody's car ever done though? I mean, are we ever done?
Right.
We've all got the illness.
Yeah. So what we're going to be working on next is obviously the exhaust we're building is going to be very, very cool for this thing. That should be in the next few episodes or so. Once we have it all finished up, we're having it fully custom built. I'm bringing you guys a full video covering all of the custom exhaust. It's going to be very, very cool. That's one of the last things we need for this, and then we can start doing the data logs. We just need one more piece for the data logger. I said we were going to run that in today's video, but we didn't have the correct piece for it. So what we're going to be working on is getting the exhaust finish, running data logs and sending those back to Race IQ so they can dial our tune in, and we'll get this thing fully ripping under full power, full boost, and we will
with no worries.
and we will cook a set of tires in celebration for the AMG finally being back. These tires are gonna get
some tires to the rubber gods.
roasted. If you guys are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. I have plenty more content on cool cars just like this one behind me. This one has been gone for a long time, but we're very happy to have it back. But if you don't want to miss any content on this car, make sure to subscribe, leave a like down below, comment what you think. That is gonna do it for today, guys. Thank you so much for watching, and I will catch you in the next one.